I got the invitation 3 weeks before Thanksgiving. Heavy cardstock, gold lettering, my brother's address embossed at the top. You're cordially invited to our annual family gathering. It read, below that in smaller print, dress code, business formal. Please arrive promptly at 6 p.m. My brother Marcus had always been the successful one. Investment banker, corner office, penthouse in downtown Chicago. Our parents loved reminding me about his accomplishments. Meanwhile, I worked as a high school history teacher in the suburbs, drove a 10-year-old Honda, and lived in a modest apartment. But I loved my job. I loved my students. I loved the life I'd built. Still, family gatherings have become increasingly uncomfortable over the past few years. Subtle digs about my salary, questions about when I get a real career, comments about how I was wasting my potential. I almost didn't go. My hand hovered over my phone, ready to text an excuse. Work commitment, grading papers, anything. But my mom had called specifically asking me to attend. Please come, she'd said. It's important. Marcus has something special planned. So I agreed. I pressed my one good suit and marked the date on my calendar. I had no idea what was waiting for me. I arrived at Marcus's house exactly at 6. The place was massive, bought 2 years ago after a particularly successful year. Floor-to-ceiling windows overlooked Lake Michigan. The driveway was full of expensive cars. I parked my Honda at the end, feeling immediately out of place. Inside, the house was decorated like a magazine spread. Crystal chandeliers, marble floors, artwork that probably cost more than my annual salary. About 30 people mingled in the great room, holding wine glasses and laughing at jokes I couldn't hear. I recognized most of them. Aunts, uncles, cousins. Marcus's colleague from work. My parents standing near the fireplace, talking to Marcus's wife, Vanessa. Marcus saw me first. He smiled and waved me over. There he is. The guest of honor finally arrives. Guest of honor? I didn't understand. Everyone, Marcus called out, clinking his glass with a knife. Can I have your attention, please? My brother is here. We can begin. The room went quiet. Every face turned toward me. I stood near the entrance feeling exposed and confused. What's going on? I asked quietly. Marcus's smile widened, but it didn't reach his eyes. You'll see. Come, sit at the head table. Something felt wrong, but I followed him anyway. Marcus seated me at a long dining table in the center of the room. Placed cards indicated where everyone should sit. I was positioned at the head, like I was being honored. My parents sat to my left, Marcus and Vanessa to my right. Other family members filled in around us. The atmosphere felt formal, staged like a corporate presentation. Vanessa stood up with a glass of wine, her smile tight and practiced. Thank you all for coming tonight. We've gathered to celebrate someone very special. Someone who's chosen a unique path in life. People nodded. Some smiled. Others looked uncomfortable, like they knew something I didn't. My brother-in-law has dedicated his life to education, Vanessa continued, teaching history to teenagers, making, $45,000 a year. A few people chuckled. My stomach dropped. While that's admirable, she went on, we thought it was time to have an honest conversation about his future, about his potential, about the opportunities he's wasting. My face burned. This wasn't a celebration. This was an intervention. Marcus stood up next, placing a hand on my shoulder. His grip was firm, controlling. We love you, he said. That's why we're doing this. It's time for some tough love. I wanted to leave, but I was trapped at the head of a table surrounded by 30 people who apparently agreed with this humiliation. My father spoke next. He'd always been a man of few words, but when he spoke, people listened. He stood slowly, looking directly at me with disappointment clear in his eyes. Son, you're 34 years old. You're still living paycheck to paycheck. You have no investments, no property, no retirement savings that amount to anything significant. Each word felt like a punch. When I was your age, I'd already bought my first house. I had a career with trajectory. I was building something. I am building something, I said quietly. I'm making a difference in kids' lives. He shook his head. You're making excuses. Marcus has offered you jobs. Good jobs. Real opportunities. And you've turned them all down to keep babysitting teenagers. Someone laughed. Actually laughed. My mother reached over and patted my hand. Sweetheart, we're not trying to hurt you. We just want better for you. Don't you want more? A nice house? Financial security? A family of your own? I'm fine with my life, I said, my voice shaking. You're not fine, Vanessa interjected. You're settling. You're hiding behind this noble teacher act because you're afraid of real success, real pressure, real responsibility. The room murmured agreement. Some nodded. Others whispered to each other. Marcus squeezed my shoulder again. We put together a plan to help you, a roadmap to get your life on track. Marcus pulled out a folder. Thick, organized, official-looking. He opened it in front of me like he was presenting a business proposal. We consulted with career counselors, he began. We've identified several positions you'd be qualified for after some additional training. Finance, sales, marketing. Real careers with real earning potential. He slid papers across the table. Job descriptions, salary ranges, training program information. We've also looked at your spending habits, Vanessa added. Based on your salary, you should have at least $20,000 in savings. But according to your bank statements, you have less than $3,000. My blood went cold. How did you get my bank statements? Marcus waved the question away. That's not important. What's important is that you're financially irresponsible, probably spending money on useless things instead of investing in your future. I have student loans, I said through gritted teeth, and I help students who can't afford supplies. I pay for field trips for kids whose families can't. See, Vanessa interrupted. That's exactly the problem. You're giving away money you don't have, playing hero instead of taking care of yourself. People nodded. My Aunt Patricia spoke up from across the table. Honey, it's sweet that you want to help, but charity starts at home. You need to think about your own future first. The presentation continued for another 20 minutes. They prepared graphs showing my income versus Marcus's income over the past 10 years. They calculated how much I had lost by choosing teaching over higher-paying careers. They projected my retirement savings at current rates versus what I could have if I followed their plan. Every slide, every number, every projection was designed to make me feel small, foolish, like I'd wasted my entire adult life. We're doing this because we care, Marcus said, closing the folder. You're my brother. I want to see you succeed. But you're making it impossible by being stubborn and unrealistic. My cousin Tyler raised his glass. To new beginnings. To finally getting on the right path. People clinked glasses, toasted to my supposed redemption. I sat there in silence, rage building in my chest like a fire I couldn't contain. Then my Uncle Harold spoke. He was Marcus's godfather, a retired CEO worth millions. Boy, your brother has worked hard to arrange this. The least you can do is show some gratitude and accept the help. Help! My voice came out louder than I intended. You call this help? Ambushing me at a dinner party? Discussing my private finances in front of 30 people. We're family, my mother said softly. We could be honest with each other. Honest. I stood up, my chair scraping loudly against the marble floor. You want honesty? Let's talk about honesty. Everyone went quiet. Marcus's face changed, a flash of concern crossing his features before he masked it with that practiced smile. Sit down, he said firmly. You're being dramatic. No, I said. You invited me here for this. Now you're going to listen. Vanessa started to speak, but I held up my hand. For 10 years, you've all treated me like I'm some kind of failure. Like choosing to teach was the worst decision I could make. Like helping kids is worthless compared to making money. That's not, my father began. Yes, it is. I interrupted. Every family gathering, there's comments, little digs, jokes about my salary, questions about when I'll grow up and get a real job. I've kept quiet because you're my family, because I don't want to cause problems. My hands were shaking, but my voice stayed steady. But tonight, Tonight, you cross a line. You access my private bank records without permission. You invited people here to witness my humiliation. You prepared a presentation about my failures like I'm some kind of corporate project that needs fixing. Marcus's smile faltered. We're trying to help you. Why are you being so defensive? Because you're not helping, I said. You're bullying. There's a difference. The room was completely silent now. Some people looked uncomfortable. Others looked angry that I was disrupting their evening. I have something you all should see, I continued, since we're being honest tonight. I pulled out my phone. My hands were still shaking, but I'd been prepared for something like this. Not this exactly, but I'd learned to protect myself. 3 months ago, I received an interesting email. I began from a woman named Rebecca Torres. She worked at Marcus's firm until last year. She wanted to warn me about something. Marcus's face went pale. Vanessa's grip tightened on her wine glass. She told me that Marcus has been planning this intervention for months, that he and Vanessa discussed it at company parties, that they called it Operation Wake Up Call, and joked about finally putting me in my place. I pulled up the email and held my phone out. Several people leaned in to read. But that's not the interesting part, I continued. The interesting part is what else Rebecca told me about Marcus's real reason for wanting me to change careers. My brother stood up quickly. This is ridiculous. Some disgruntled ex-employee. She has documentation. I said calmly, would you like me to share it? Or would you prefer to tell everyone yourself? The room erupted in whispers. Marcus's face turned red. Vanessa looked like she wanted to disappear. My father spoke up. What documentation? What are you talking about? I looked directly at Marcus. Tell them why you really wanted me to get a high-paying job. Marcus sat down heavily. His practice composure was cracking. You don't know what you're talking about. Don't I? I pulled up another email. Rebecca sent me copies of internal company messages, including a conversation between you and your financial advisor from last year. I started reading aloud. Marcus Pierce, I need to find a way to access more liquid capital. The investments aren't performing like I projected. Financial advisor, what about family loans? Your parents? Your brother? Marcus, my parents are tapped out, but my brother could be useful. He's naive. Trust me, if I could convince him to get into finance, I could offer him seed money for training, then have him invest in some projects. Gasps filled the room. My mother's hand flew to her mouth. You were going to use me, I said quietly. This whole intervention, we care about you speech. It was all manipulation. You wanted me to get a higher salary so you could convince me to invest in your failing ventures. That's taken out of context, Marcus said desperately. I was just exploring options. There's more, I interrupted. Should I read the part where you discussed how much you could borrow from me without me noticing? Or the part where you calculated how long it would take to drain my accounts? Silence. Heavy, suffocating silence. My Uncle Harold stood up, his face dark with anger, but it wasn't directed at me. He turned to Marcus. Is this true? Were you planning to defraud your own brother? No, I mean not defraud. I was exploring financial strategies. By using your brother as a piggy bank? Harold's voice was ice. Vanessa tried to intervene. Everyone is overreacting. Marcus would never actually. There's documentation of them taking out loans using family connections as collateral, I said, including a loan that listed my parent house as secondary collateral without their knowledge. My father stood up so fast his chair fell backward. What? I pulled up another document on my phone. Rebecca sent me loan applications from 6 months ago. Marcus used your address and forged your signatures to secure a business loan. When I contacted the bank to verify, they confirmed it's real. My mother was crying now. My father looked like he might have a heart attack. The room erupted in chaos. People shouting questions. Marcus trying to explain. Vanessa grabbing his arm and whispering frantically. I have copies of everything, I said loudly, cutting through the noise. Financial records, emails, loan documents, text messages between Marcus and Vanessa discussing how to manipulate me. All of it. Marcus finally exploded. You had no right to investigate me, to spy on me. I didn't, I said calmly. Rebecca came to me. She felt guilty. Apparently, you brag about your plan at a company party, and she overheard. The truth spilled out like water from a broken dam. Rebecca Torres hadn't just sent one email. She'd sent dozens. Months of correspondence. Documentation of Marcus's financial problems. Proof of his schemes. Marcus's investment firm was failing. He'd made bad decisions, risky bets that didn't pay off. He'd borrowed heavily from private lenders. He was drowning in debt, despite his expensive lifestyle. He needed money desperately, and he decided his naive, trusting little brother would be the perfect target. The intervention wasn't about helping me. It was about positioning me to be exploited. How long have you been in debt? My father demanded. Marcus wouldn't answer. Vanessa was crying now too, mascara running down her face. 3 years. I answered for him. He's been hiding it, using credit to maintain appearances. The house, the cars, the lifestyle. It's all financed, all borrowed. And he's months away from losing everything. My cousin Tyler spoke up, his voice shaking. Marcus convinced me to invest in a tech startup last year. $50,000. He said it was guaranteed returns. I lost everything. Other voices joined in. An aunt who'd loaned Marcus money for a business venture that never materialized. An uncle who'd co-signed on something Marcus promised was secure. Slowly, the room realized Marcus had been working them all, and I was supposed to be his next victim. My father walked over to Marcus. For a moment, I thought he might hit him. Instead, he just looked at him with profound disappointment. Get out, my father said quietly. Dad, please. Get out of this family. My father said louder. You lied. You stole. You forged our signatures. You tried to exploit your own brother. We can fix this, Marcus pleaded. I can pay everyone back. I just need time. You need a lawyer, Uncle Harold interrupted, because I'm pressing charges for that loan you put my name on without asking. Other family members started speaking up, threatening legal action, demanding money back. The dinner party had turned into a tribunal. Vanessa grabbed Marcus's arm. We need to leave. Now. They rushed toward the door. But before leaving, Marcus turned back and looked at me with pure hatred. You destroyed me. You could have helped me. But you destroyed me instead. You destroyed yourself, I said calmly. I just refuse to let you destroy me too. The door slammed. Silence filled the massive house. My mother was sobbing in my father's arms. Other family members stood in shock clusters, processing what had just happened. The fancy dinner sat untouched on the table. The gold-lettered invitation seemed like a cruel joke now. I picked up my jacket from the back of my chair. Time to leave. My mother grabbed my arm as I headed for the door. Sweetheart, I'm so sorry. We had no idea. We thought we were helping you. Did you really? I asked gently. Or did you just agree with Marcus because he's successful and I'm not? She didn't have an answer. Her tears said everything. My father shook my hand. Firm, apologetic. You're a better man than I gave you credit for. I'm sorry for doubting you. I don't need your approval. I said honestly, I never did. I chose teaching because I love it, because it matters, not because I couldn't do anything else. He nodded slowly. I see that now. Other family members approached me one by one, apologizing, explaining they'd been caught up in Marcus's charisma, admitting they'd been wrong to judge my choices. Aunt Patricia hugged me. You helped my son pass history last year. He told me you stayed after school 3 days a week for extra tutoring. You never mentioned it. Never asked for anything. You just helped because that's who you are. That's my job, I said. No, she replied. That's your calling. There's a difference. Uncle Harold pulled me aside. Rebecca Torres. How much did she tell you? Everything. I answered. She felt guilty because Marcus was planning to use information she'd helped gather. She couldn't live with it. Where is she now? working at a nonprofit. She quit finance entirely, said she couldn't be part of that world anymore. He nodded thoughtfully. Smart woman. I finally left around 9 p.m. The party had completely dissolved. People were leaving, some angry, some confused, all shocked by the evening's revelations. I sat in my Honda for a few minutes before driving away. My hands weren't shaking anymore. The rage had burned out, replaced by something calmer. Satisfaction, maybe, or just relief that the truth was finally out. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. This is Rebecca. I heard what happened tonight. Thank you for believing me and using the information wisely. I hope your family can heal. I replied, thank you for having the courage to tell the truth. She responded immediately, thank you for having the courage to hear it. I drove home through Chicago's night traffic. Thinking about the past few hours, part of me felt guilty. I'd humiliated my brother in front of the entire family. I'd exposed his failures and schemes publicly. But another part of me knew I'd done the right thing. He was planning to exploit me, to use my trust and family loyalty against me. If I hadn't known, if Rebecca hadn't warned me, I might have fallen for it. The intervention would have worked. I would have felt pressured, guilty, like I owed them something. I might have made decisions that destroyed my life just to prove I wasn't a failure. Instead, I protected myself, and possibly protected other family members from future schemes. The next morning, my principal called. Ms. Catherine Hayes, a woman who'd been in education for 30 years. She'd hired me straight out of college and had been my mentor ever since. I heard about what happened last night, she said. Your mother called me this morning. She wanted to make sure you were okay. I'm fine, I assured her. She also told me what your brother tried to do and what you did to stop it. Silence for a moment. Then, I'm proud of you. Standing up for yourself takes courage, especially against family. Thank you. But I'm calling for another reason, she continued. The district superintendent wants to meet with you. Today, if possible. My heart sank. Am I in trouble? Quite the opposite, she said, and I could hear the smile in her voice. Just come to the district office at 2 p.m. Trust me. I spent the morning grading papers and trying not to overthink the meeting. What could the superintendent possibly want? At 2, I arrived at the district office building. Ms. Hayes met me in the lobby and led me to a conference room. Inside sat the superintendent, Dr. Franklin Pierce, no relation to Marcus, thankfully, and 3 school board members. Mr. Pierce, Dr. Franklin said, standing to shake my hand. Thank you for coming. Dr. Franklin gestured for me to sit. The school board members smiled warmly. This didn't feel like a disciplinary meeting. We've been reviewing teacher performance metrics across the district. Dr. Franklin began. Test scores, student feedback, parent comments, colleague evaluations. We do this annually to identify our most effective educators. I nodded, unsure where this was going. Your name came up repeatedly, he continued. You have the highest student satisfaction ratings in your school. Your students' test scores have improved an average of 23% over the past 3 years. Parents consistently request you specifically for their children. One of the board members, Mrs. Chun, spoke up. We also noticed that you spend your own money on classroom supplies and student assistance. An average of $4,000 per year, according to your tax returns. I felt my face redden. The kids need help. Not all families can afford. We know, she interrupted gently, and we're not criticizing. We're grateful, but it shouldn't be necessary. Dr. Franklin leaned forward. We're creating a new position, district-wide curriculum coordinator for history and social studies. It comes with a significant raise, benefits, and a budget for student programs. You'd train other teachers, develop curriculum, and still teach part-time. I stared at them. What? We want to offer you the position, Ms. Hayes said, smiling. Effective next semester. The salary they quoted was almost double what I currently made. Still not Marcus's investment banker money, but enough to live comfortably, to save, to help more students without draining my own accounts. Why me? I asked. Dr. Franklin pulled out a folder. It was thick, organized, full of documents. like Marcus's presentation last night, but this one felt different, respectful. Because you're exactly what we need, he said, opening the folder. Every teacher you've mentored has improved their performance. Every student you've tutored has shown measurable growth. Every program you've suggested has worked. He showed me data, graphs of student achievement, testimonials from parents and students, comments from fellow teachers praising my methods. You don't just teach content, Mrs. Chen added. You teach students how to think critically, how to analyze sources, how to understand context. These are skills they'll use their entire lives. Another board member, Mr. Rodriguez, spoke up. My daughter had you 3 years ago. She hated history before your class. Now she's majoring in it at Northwestern. She says you changed her life. I felt tears threatening. I swallowed hard. Last night, Ms. Hayes said quietly, your mother told me what your family said to you about wasting your potential, about needing a real career. I want you to know something. You haven't wasted anything. You've invested in people, in the future, in things that matter more than money. We can't compete with corporate salaries, Dr. Franklin admitted, but we can offer you respect, appreciation, and a chance to make an even bigger impact. Will you consider it? I didn't need to consider. Yes, absolutely yes. They smiled. We shook hands. They gave me paperwork to review and sign. As I left the district office, my phone buzzed with multiple messages. Family members checking on me, apologizing again, asking if I needed anything. One message stood out. From my father. Your mother and I would like to take you to dinner, to apologize properly, and to listen, really listen. Will you come? I met my parents at a small Italian restaurant near their house. Nothing fancy, just a quiet place where we could talk. My mother hugged me for a long time when I arrived. I'm so sorry, she whispered, for everything. We sat down and ordered food. For a few minutes, nobody spoke. Then my father cleared his throat. I failed you as a father, he began. I measured your success by Marcus's standards instead of your own. I didn't take the time to understand what you do or why it matters. Dad, let me finish, he said gently. Your mother and I have been talking. We want to understand your work. We want to see what you do every day. Would you let us visit your classroom? I was surprised. Really? Really? My mother said, we want to meet your students. See you teach. Understand why you love it so much. And my father added, we want to help. The district mentioned you spend your own money on students. That stops now. Your mother and I will fund a scholarship. $5,000 annually for students who need help with supplies, field trips, whatever they need. I couldn't speak. Tears blurred my vision. My mother reached across the table and took my hand. We're proud of you. We should have said it years ago. You're making a real difference in the world. That's worth more than any salary. We talked for hours. I told him about students who'd overcome obstacles, kids from difficult backgrounds who'd found hope in education, young people who discovered their potential because someone believed in them. My parents listened, really listened. For the first time in years, I felt seen by them. Over the next few weeks, word spread about what happened at Marcus's dinner party. Not because I told anyone. News just travels in families. Extended relatives reached out. Some apologized for participating in the intervention. Others shared their own stories of feeling judged or pressured by family expectations. My cousin Tyler called me. I should have defended you that night. I'm sorry. I was too focused on my own embarrassment about losing money to Marcus. It's okay, I told him. No, it's not. But I want to make it right. I'm starting a financial literacy program at the community center, teaching people how to avoid predatory schemes. Would you help me develop curriculum? I agreed. It felt good to turn something painful into something constructive. My Aunt Patricia invited me to speak at her book club about teaching and education. 20 women listened as I explained the challenges teachers face, the rewards of the work, and why I'd chosen this path. Afterward, 3 of them signed up to volunteer as classroom tutors. 2 donated books to my school's library. Small ripples spreading outward. My parents visited my classroom in early December. They sat in the back while I taught a lesson on the civil rights movement. I watched them watching me work with students, encouraging quiet kids to share ideas, challenging confident kids to dig deeper, making history feel relevant and alive. After class, several students approached my parents. "Mr. Pierce is the best teacher ever," one girl said. "He makes learning fun." My mother cried. My father shook hands with every student who approached him, asking about their goals and dreams. Meanwhile, Marcus's life fell apart publicly. The loan fraud came to light officially. Banks started investigating. His firm launched an internal review. Within 2 weeks, he was fired. Vanessa filed for divorce. Apparently, she hadn't known about the forged documents or the extent of the debt. When she discovered the truth, she left. The house went into foreclosure. The cars were repossessed. Everything expensive, everything Marcus had used the project's success, was stripped away. He moved into a small apartment across town. Got a job doing bookkeeping for a local hardware store. Nothing glamorous. Nothing impressive. I heard about all this through family channels. I didn't reach out. Didn't gloat. Didn't feel satisfaction at his downfall. Mostly I felt sad. Sad that he'd prioritized appearances over authenticity. Sad that he'd sacrificed relationships for status. Sad that he'd tried to drag me down with him. Then, 6 weeks after the dinner party, Marcus called me. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. "Hey," he said quietly. His voice sounded different. Smaller. Defeated. "Hey," I replied. Silence for a moment. Then, "I owe you an apology. A real one. Not the kind I've been giving everyone else where I minimize what I did or make excuses." I waited. "I was jealous of you," he continued. "You were happy. Actually happy. While I was miserable despite having everything I thought I wanted. I hated that you'd found contentment in a simple life while I was drowning in a complicated one." Marcus kept talking. His voice cracked occasionally, like he was holding back tears. "The intervention wasn't about helping you. You already knew that. It was about making myself feel better. If I could convince you that you were a failure, then maybe I wouldn't feel like such a failure myself." "You weren't a failure," I said carefully. "You made bad choices. There's a difference." "I was a failure at the things that mattered," he replied. "Family, honesty, integrity. I sacrificed all of that for money and status. And now I don't have either." We talked for an hour. It was the longest, most honest conversation we'd had in years. Maybe ever. He told me about the pressure he'd felt to succeed, the expectations he'd internalized, the fear of disappointing our parents, how he'd built an identity around being successful, and when that success started crumbling, he didn't know who he was anymore. "I don't expect you to forgive me," he said finally. "I just wanted you to know that I'm sorry, and that I'm going to try to be better." "I forgive you," I said. And surprisingly, I meant it, not because what you did was okay, but because holding on to anger hurts me more than it hurts you. "Thank you," he whispered. "Marcus, can I ask you something?" "Yeah." "Are you okay? Like really okay?" Silence. Then, "No, but I'm working on it. I started therapy. I'm facing what I did instead of running from it. It's hard, but it's necessary." We ended the call with a tentative plan to have coffee sometime. No promises, no expectations, just an opening for possible reconciliation in the future. Christmas arrived. My parents hosted a small gathering. Nothing like Marcus's elaborate party. Just close family, simple food, honest conversation. Marcus wasn't there. He declined the invitation, saying he wasn't ready yet. My parents understood. But the rest of the family came. Aunts, uncles, cousins. We played games, shared stories, laughed together without performance or pretense. Uncle Harold pulled me aside. "I've been thinking about what happened, about how quickly we all judge you. We owe you more than apologies." "You don't owe me anything," I said. "Yes, we do. We owe you respect, recognition, support." He handed me an envelope. "This is from several family members. We pooled money together. It's not a loan, not charity, It's an investment in your work. I opened the envelope. Inside was a check for $15,000. For your classroom, he explained. For students who need help. Use it however you see fit. We trust your judgment. I hugged him. This gruff, no-nonsense businessman hugged me back. Other family members shared similar sentiments throughout the evening. Aunt Patricia brought books from my classroom library. Cousin Tyler offered to teach a financial literacy session to my students. My uncle from Arizona sent a letter apologizing for his absence and enclosed a donation for student scholarships. The family that had humiliated me was now supporting me, not because I'd changed, because they'd finally seen me clearly. In January, I started my new position as district curriculum coordinator. I still taught 3 classes a day, but I also worked with other teachers, developed new programs, and created resources for the entire district. The raise made a huge difference. I moved into a better apartment, started saving money, paid off student loans faster. But more importantly, I could help more students without financial stress. We launched a student enrichment fund using my family's donations plus district matching. Any student who needed help with supplies, field trips, college applications, or other educational expenses could apply. No questions asked, no judgment. The first semester, we helped 47 students. By the end of the school year, that number had grown to over 100. My parents volunteered weekly. My father helped with a mentorship program, sharing his business experience with students interested in entrepreneurship. My mother tutored students struggling with reading. They told me repeatedly how much they enjoyed it, how meaningful it felt, how they finally understood why I loved teaching. I spent 40 years in corporate management. My father said one afternoon, I made good money, had a good career, but nothing I did there matters as much as helping that kid understand his math homework today. My mother nodded. We've been so focused on financial success that we forgot about human success. You understood that all along. Ms. Hayes was promoted to assistant superintendent. Before she left, she pulled me aside. You're going to be an administrator someday. Maybe a principal. Maybe a superintendent. You have the skills and the heart for it. Maybe, I said, or maybe I'll just keep teaching. She smiled. Either way, you'll make the right choice. You always do. Spring brought unexpected news. Rebecca Torres, the woman who'd warned me about Marcus, reached out again. She wanted to meet in person. We met at a coffee shop downtown. She was younger than I'd imagined, maybe 30, with kind eyes and an earnest demeanor. I wanted to thank you personally, she said, for using the information I gave you to protect yourself instead of just hurting your brother. I didn't want to hurt him, I explained. I just wanted to stop him from hurting others. I know. That's why I'm here. She pulled out her laptop. After Marcus was fired, the company did a full audit. They found evidence of other schemes, other employees involved. The whole thing was bigger than anyone realized. She showed me documents, internal investigations, findings of widespread fraud. Multiple employees had been manipulating clients, forging documents, hiding losses. Your brother wasn't a mastermind, Rebecca continued. He was actually being used by senior partners. They needed a fall guy, and he was desperate enough to go along with it. My stomach twisted. So he's not the villain? He's still responsible for his choices, she clarified. But he was also a victim. The company created a culture where fraud was normalized, where success at any cost was rewarded. Marcus got caught up in it. She closed her laptop. Several of us are filing whistleblower complaints with the SEC. We're exposing the whole operation. Marcus has agreed to testify in exchange for reduced charges. Why are you telling me this? Because he asked me to. He wanted you to know he's trying to make things right, not just apologizing, but actually fixing the damage he caused. I processed this information slowly. Marcus wasn't just sorry. He was taking action. Risky action that could have consequences for him. There's something else, Rebecca said. The partners tried to threaten him into silence, but he refused. He said his brother taught him that integrity matters more than self-preservation. My eyes burned with unexpected tears. He said that. She nodded. You influenced him. Even when he was trying to hurt you, part of him admired you. Now he's trying to be more like you. 3 months later, I was preparing for summer school when my phone rang. Marcus. Hey, I answered. Hey, are you busy? Not really. What's up? I'm at Mom and Dad's house. They're having a small cookout. Nothing fancy. Just family. They asked me to call you. See if you'd come. I hesitated. We'd texted a few times since Christmas. Had coffee once. But we were still rebuilding trust. Please, Marcus added quietly. I know I don't deserve it, but I'd really like you to be here. I drove to my parents' house. The backyard was decorated with simple string lights. A grill smoked in the corner. My parents, Uncle Harold, Aunt Patricia, and a few cousins sat around a picnic table. Marcus stood near the grill, wearing a t-shirt and jeans. No expensive suit. No pretense. Just my brother. He saw me and smiled. Not the practice smile from before. A real one. Thanks for coming, he said when I approached. Of course. We stood awkwardly for a moment. Then he pulled me into a hug. I'm proud of you. For everything you've accomplished. For everything you are. I should have said that years ago. Thank you. I managed. We ate burgers and talked about normal things. Jobs. Weather. Upcoming holidays. Nobody mentioned the intervention. Nobody brought up the fraud investigation. We just existed as a family again. Later, as the sun set and fireflies began to appear, my father stood up with his beer. I want to make a toast, he said, to second chances, to honesty, to family that sticks together even when things fall apart. Everyone raised their glasses. And specifically, he continued, looking at me, to my son, who never needed fixing, who was exactly who he was supposed to be all along. We're sorry it took us so long to see it. My mother wiped tears from her eyes. Marcus nodded, his own eyes glistening. To integrity, Uncle Harold added, the kind that can't be bought or faked, the kind that withstands pressure and holds strong when everything else falls apart. We clinked glasses, drank, smiled at each other in the growing darkness. Marcus pulled me aside later. The trial starts next month. I'm testifying against the partners. My lawyer says I'll probably get probation and community service instead of prison time. How do you feel about that? Relieved, scared, grateful. He paused. I'm going back to school, getting my teaching certificate. I stared at him. What? I want to teach business ethics at a community college. Use my experience as a cautionary tale. Help people avoid the mistakes I made. Marcus, I know it sounds crazy, but I've been volunteering at a youth center, teaching financial literacy to teenagers. It's the first time in years I felt like I'm doing something meaningful, something that matters. I smiled. I think that's great. You inspired me, he said simply. You showed me there's more to life than money and status. I want to find what you found. Purpose, contentment, peace. We stood together watching fireflies dance across the yard. Two brothers who'd taken very different paths, but somehow found their way back to each other. You know what's funny? Marcus said quietly, the intervention was supposed to fix you, but I'm the one who got fixed instead. I laughed. Life's weird like that. Yeah, it is. My mother called us back to the table for dessert. As we walked over, Marcus put his arm around my shoulders. Thank you, he said, for not giving up on me, even when I gave you every reason to. You're my brother. I replied, that's what family does. The evening continued with stories and laughter. Simple moments that meant everything. No pretense. No performance. Just people who'd learned hard lessons and come out better on the other side. As I drove home later that night, I thought about the journey. From humiliation at that formal dinner to reconciliation at a backyard cookout. From being told I'd wasted my potential to being celebrated for exactly who I was. My phone buzzed at a red light. A text from one of my students. Mr. Pierce, I got accepted to college. Thank you for helping me with my application. You changed my life. I smiled and replied, you changed your own life. I just believed in you. That was the truth I'd learned. Success wasn't measured in salary or status. It was measured in lives touched, in differences made, in integrity maintained even under pressure. My family had tried to humiliate me into changing. Instead, they'd learned to change themselves. And in the process, we'd all become better. I pulled into my apartment complex and sat in my car for a moment. The same old Honda, the same modest building, the same simple life. But it didn't feel small anymore. It felt exactly right. My phone buzzed again. This time a group text from my family. A photo of everyone at the cookout, smiling genuinely, arms around each other. My mother's message. Family isn't about who makes the most money. It's about who shows up with the most heart. Thank you for showing up, always. I saved the photo and headed inside. Tomorrow I'd start planning curriculum for fall semester, meeting with students who needed summer tutoring, working on scholarship applications, the same work I'd always done, the work I loved, the work that made me exactly who I was supposed to be. And finally, everyone could see it.